Hello everyone, I am back out looking for fossils today, and I will get some close-ups, but I have been doing well. There's a big Ceramus right there. You can see a bunch of Baculite clusters. Come over here, here's a nice clam right here, even more Baculite clusters. Wasn't planning on recording today, but I've been finding so much I figured I kind of had to turn on the camera. This one I figured we could focus more on how to get them out of a matrix rather than finding them, because I already have a how to find baculites. But if you look at this big pile, it is just filled with conglomerates, just absolutely packed with conglomerates. And not just baculites, you can see clams right there. Actually, one sec. If you look right here, you can see a very nice gastropod sticking out. It's gonna be all. Speaking of, here, look at this thing I just found. If I can back it up, there we go. Look at that little snail. That is so cool. Yeah, this is a very, very rich exposure. So I'm gonna poke around a bit more, and once I am done here, I will cut ahead to back at the shop and I'll show you guys how to get them out. You washing, Si? You cleaning? They get very bored. Floyd never wastes time finding a tree to go hide in. Alright, so I just took this one over to the bench, and please ignore all the sawdust. You will understand why my bench is such a mess when you see the, well, I don't know if it'll be the next, but an upcoming video. Alright, so now I will tell you how to get these out. So, ideally, you would have an air stylus, and that would be the most precise way to remove the outer matrix enough to get the fossil out. But honestly, most people don't have an air stylus, so we're going to do the less precise way, and that's why I recommended finding one that you don't want to save the nacre on. Find one that you want to show the sutures on, because here, I'll grab an example really quick. Here is one with the shell layer completely intact, and the shell layer is actually a lot thicker than it looks, especially in terms of carving. So the moment you hit that white, everything will start flaking away, which will reveal the nacre underneath and make your job a lot easier. And from there you can get the hang of how to chip off the outer matrix without actually chipping into the nacre. So we're going to do this one right here as an example, and this one right here as an example. Sorry, this one right here as an example. Just realized that my focus was a lot closer in than I thought it was. Nice little calcite pocket at the bottom. And as far as burrs go, I recommend super low grit. So for example, these are more of your standard. These are the ones I'll be using, and it may be hard to tell in the video, but they are a lot lower grit. These are about 200-300. This is about 80. So, and the reason that's important is A, it's cutting more aggressively, so it keeps the heat down, which is gonna help prevent burning out your burrs as quickly. Actually, the stuff is so soft you generally won't if you're, stopping regularly. But the main thing about it is it's so coarse that it causes a good amount of vibration in your piece, which will actually help create little fractures and break free the surrounding matrix when you get it thin enough. And it probably sounds confusing, but I'll demonstrate and you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, and I probably don't need to say it, but definitely wear a mask when you're doing this.
Okay, so we've kind of thinned around our border. If you come in like this, it's going to cut so cleanly that you won't really, it won't flake. It'll just go straight through this outer part into the fossil, and we don't want that. So what we're actually going to do is come in like this and lightly, very lightly, because it's not good for your rotary tool to push hard, but lightly come down like this, and that pressure and vibration will actually break free the thin pieces. And it probably sounds confusing, but it'll make a lot more sense once I start getting into this. And for this big one, I'm not, just want to, you know, kind of clear this right now, but I'm not trying to get this out. I'm just trying to expose it, because I think it would look cooler if it was still at least partially in its matrix. But yeah, we'll get back to it.
Alright, there we've got it to a good point. You can see the majority of the face is exposed, so I'm going to switch over to one of these, which is just a flap sander, and they're really gentle, especially this one because it's pretty worn down, and that's just going to get rid of any scratch pattern while getting rid of this layer of nacre, and simultaneously we'll do that first layer of polishing for me, so I'll do that right now. Okay, so here it is again. Now that I've done that, probably won't look like much until I get it wet, and then you can see what it's going to look like once it's polished. And of course my light isn't here. One second. Here, let's try this again with some light on it. Get it wet. Problem is this bench that I record on has no overhead light, so it gets really dark over here, which, you know, doesn't help with recording. Now you can see those sutures. They may look pretty faded, but the more you polish it, the more they're gonna stand out. To do that, we're gonna jump to 800 grit sandpaper, then probably 1000 grit, and then we can jump up to 2000 grit, and we'll use a couple buffing pads with some red rouge, and that'll really bring it up to a good polish. Once it's to that point, it'll look a lot more like this. Again, that light is not, there we go. That'll be a better example of what it'll end up looking like. And it's hard to see, but there's actually a fault running through it, and that's actually a vein of calcite, and that'll probably look really cool once it gets polished. So I will start sanding and come right back. Alright, here it is now that it is done. You can see those sutures came out quite a bit, and you can't really see it through the lens, but they're actually all the way throughout. They're just thicker, well, more defined in some spots. So arguably that wasn't the best one to use as an example, but hey, you get the point. Alright, so next up is going to be this one here. And at first, I was going to show you how to remove one completely. This little one right here, because it's got calcite pockets on both top and bottom, so it'll be a closer example to the other one. But if you look at the back, that's actually nacre. So what that means is this one, the front is broken, but this one is actually embedded
on another one. So if I get this one out, I might be able to get a cool example of one with the nacre layer polished all the way through, and then one with the nacre layer remaining, but it's going to be a bit tricky. So I think to start, I'm actually going to sand the nacre layer off of this one just to see what it's going to look like. So I'll do that right now. Here is a more typical example of what the sutures will look like. So I started grinding on it a little bit. But I noticed that that nacre layer didn't actually go as deep as I thought it would. I thought this was an entire baculite, but when I split it, it was actually just a vein of nacre. There is no baculite right there, so I split it. And now I'll show you how to get this little thing out. Alright, so we'll take a look at our fossil and see what we have to do the least amount of work, because baculites like this are sturdy enough that once you get a certain way through, it should just pop right out safely. And I think to do that, we're going to take this really low grit diamond burr and we're going to grind this corner off all the way down to the bottom of this and just remove that till it's level all the way down. And then, as you can see, it'll just be this tiny little edge holding the whole thing into the matrix, so it should just come right out, and then we can sand this back side so it's all shiny like the front is. Oh, and that's natural, by the way. I haven't even sanded the back yet. That's just what the sutures look like underneath that shell layer. So yeah, let's get to it. Alrighty, there you go. It is out now. You can see the difference between polished face and the side that still needs work. So now it's pretty much just rinse and repeat from the other one. Just grab the flap sander and get rid of that nacre layer so that the sutures get showed off. Alrighty, so here this one is now that it's finished. There we go. Came out quite well. Sutures look great. And you can see with this one, the shell actually collapsed in certain sections, so that'll take a little feel when you run into pieces like this, but they're great for practice. Yeah, I'd say it came out really well. And that process will be literally the exact same with any baculite. The only variable really would be size. Nice, clean, pretty crystal pocket on the bottom. Yeah, nice little fossil. Okay, for the next scenario, you're going to have one like this that has no sutures and potentially some nice pearl. And as you can see, it is not only crushed up on its sides, but it's also very, very thin, and the majority of it is exposed. So the only thing you're going to gain by, well, let me rephrase that. You're not really going to gain anything by getting the whole piece out, and you stand a very high risk of breaking it apart. So, and it's, I don't know, it's already a good display as is. So from here, I
think I'm just going to show you how to polish the nacre, and yeah, these ones are honestly my favorite because they go by really quick. Okay, so the nacre is super soft, so you don't want to use any tools like the rotary tool, for example, that will just blow through that. I only use it when I'm trying to get rid of the stuff. So to start, I would grab some probably 400 grit sandpaper, work up to 800, and then 1000 or 1500, and then end on 2000. And then after that, you hit it with some red rouge. Alrighty, well, here it is, and my camera has a really hard time picking it up when it's recording. I can capture it well in photos, but there is just bright electric green right all through here, and then all up this side is just purple. You can see how it brings out the ribbing, the natural ribbing in the shell, which is not three-dimensional, that's literally internal. Just like when you polish an abalone and you see the waves, that ripple pattern is internal. So let me see if I can get some pictures that will actually show the color on this, because it is really pretty. And well, there you have it. As far as basics go, that's pretty much all there is. Just exposing, so pieces like this, removing, so pieces like this, where you get them out all the way, and then prepping nacre, which again, this lighting is horrible for picking up the color, but there is a lot of green and blue and purple in there. This piece is absolutely gorgeous. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to, you know, make a video if it's going to help anyone. Next would be how to get multiple out of one, or expose multiple in one mate. Also wanted to announce that we'll be going to Florida again pretty soon, so I will very likely get another Florida series out, so look forward to that one. It's so pretty. But yeah, anyway, go ahead and like and subscribe if you think I earned it, and keep your eyes peeled for Florida videos if you're interested in that, and if not, I'm always doing more rock, fossil, and shell related stuff. So yeah, see you next time.